Bob Marley to become a national hero if the PNP wins the next election. Government walks out of Parliament yesterday while a taxi operator is killed in St. Anne. This is Undiluted News, Mikey Bones reporting. Opposition leader Mark Golding has promised that a future government led by him would confer the Order of National Hero on reggae icon Bob Marley. Mr. Golding made that announcement during his contribution to the annual budget debate yesterday afternoon, citing Marley's service of a most distinguished nature in advancing Jamaican culture and his global impact as liberating, inspirational force for oppressed people across the world. Interest in the Marley legend and legacy has picked up since the release early this year of a watered-down Marley biopic, which in turn has reignited the national heroes debate. According to Mr. Golding, that debate should now be settled. Time come to recognize that the Gong is truly a national hero and confer that honor on him accordingly, he said. Mr. Golding continued and used the first part of his contribution to the budget debate to continue criticizing the budget for the 2024-25 fiscal year as presented by the Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark in the House of Representatives. In his budget presentation in the lower house, Mr. Golding continued where Shadow Finance Minister Julian Robbins left off last Thursday in the opposition's attempt to pick apart the budget. According to Mr. Golding, the government budget for the upcoming fiscal year is not grounded in a vision of development of the people, adding that frustrations and hopelessness among the majority of the people will continue to grow. He said that young people are crying out for opportunities to further their education and for better job options. Citizens are crying no to corruption and deception and yes to transparency and truth. Mr. Golding also sought to remind of what he terms broken promises of the current Andrew Holness-led administration, including 5% growth in 4 years and fixed election dates. He also made mention of the disadvantages of local farmers that they will now face after the finance minister announced that they are now removing GCT from imported foodstuff. But very soon after, there was a confrontation with the Prime Minister and Mr. Golding when Mr. Golding questioned why the Prime Minister's wife was made to be the Speaker of the House. The governing majority, JLP, led by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, then walked out of the sitting, calling the comments a low and desperate blow. The Prime Minister was first to leave his seat, followed by the other members of government. But the crosstalk did not end with the walkout as Badman Member of Parliament Everall Warmington, he returned to the chamber and began trading barbs with the opposition members who shouted for him to leave. Meanwhile, a Jamaican-born man was successfully deported to the island from the UK late last month after a previous attempt to return him was blocked by protesting passengers, according to British media reports. 27-year-old Lawrence Morgan was deported to Jamaica on a commercial flight and handed over to local authorities on February 25th, according to reports. He was reportedly jailed following a 2020 shooting between gangs on the street of Birmingham City. However, efforts to deport him to Jamaica in November of 2023 on a British Airways flight was foiled by fellow passengers who refused to fly on the same plane after Morgan had to be physically restrained at the back of the aircraft. According to reports, the aircraft captain returned to the terminal building so Morgan could be removed from the flight because of the protests, and he's reported to have thanked the passengers as he was being led from the jet. And following the failed deportation, Morgan, who had arrived in the UK as a child, is said to have launched an unsuccessful bid to remain in the country, claiming he knew nobody in Jamaica. And most of the time it is true, as these people leave Jamaica at a very young age and knows nothing about Jamaica. They are not homegrown Jamaican problem, but UK homegrown or US problem. But they still send them to Jamaica to add to the problems there. A taxi operator in Clarendon has found himself on the wrong side of the law after reportedly making off with a firearm that was left atop a tissue holder in a restroom. The firearm had reportedly been left there by a man who had used the restroom. The cab driver, 27-year-old Kevin Cole of Morse District in Clarendon, is now facing charge of simple larceny, possession of a prohibited weapon, and unauthorized possession of ammunition following the reported March 1st theft of the firearm at a business establishment in Mineral Heights in the parish. Reports from the Maypen police are that about 2:20, the man used the restroom at the business establishment and left his assigned firearm atop the tissue holder. He later discovered that he was not in possession of the gun and returned to the location, but the weapon was not there. The police were summoned and the CCTV footage in the establishment was reviewed and saw the taxi driver taking the weapon. Meanwhile, the body of a taxi operator was found at Aberdeen in Brownstown, St. Anne yesterday morning. The dead man is 32-year-old Marlon Mannings of Windsor Heights in St. Anne's Bay, and the police suspect he was killed between Monday night and Tuesday morning. The body of Mr. Mannings, which had a wound to the head, was found close to the Aberdeen Main Road by a passerby about 6:30 yesterday morning. On to sports. Excelsior High Darnell Wright produced the fastest qualifying time ahead of Friday's final of the Class 1 Boys 400 meters hurdles at the Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championship on Tuesday. Wright won the third and final heat in 50.90 seconds ahead of Calabar Shadane Simit 51.74, Jamaica's College Princewell Martin 51.98, and Petersfield Romaine Campbell 51.99. Kingston College's Antonia Forbes recorded a time of 51.37 to win Heat 1, with Excelsior Ricardo Hall claiming the second automatic spot 51.87. And Heat 2 went to Shamari Jenkins of KC 51.87, while Herbert Morrison's Tevor Simit was second in 52.09. The final of the Class 1 Boys 400 meters hurdles is now scheduled for 9:05 p.m. on Friday. In the Class 1 Boys 100 meters semifinal, which will be this evening at 6:45 p.m., in the heats, Excelsior High Damar Miller produced the fastest time of the day with a clocking of 10.60 seconds ahead of St. Jago's Tajay Duffus 10.67. Second fastest time was Steertown's Academy Omarion Barrett produced a 10.64 clocking to win Heat 7. Raheem Pinnock of St. Jago High 10.68, JC's Dante Watson 10.76, and Edwin Allen's High Joshua St. John 10.79 are the qualifiers from Heat 5, while Class 2 champion Shaquane Gordon of Calabar High clocked 10.71 to top Heat 6, followed by Lennon Green of Excelsior High, who did a time of 10.80, and Cornwall College Zachary Cox 10.83. Herbert Morrison's DeAndre Daly, who finished second in the event in 2023 and is tapped to win this year, clocked 10.75 to win Heat 2 ahead of Clarendon College Tremaine Hamilton 10.85 and Kareem Riley of Veer Technical 10.93. Hector Benjamin of Jamaica College, he recorded 10.81 to take Heat 2, while Martino Williams of Camperdown High 10.97 seconds finished second. And the aim here is not to do the fastest time actually. It is just to be in the top two because they have to save their energy for the finals, which is going to be over 3 days. And don't forget that the best news and sports takes place on this station. If you ever miss the news on this radio station, please go to YouTube, type in Jamerican Undiluted, listen, like, share, and subscribe to keep it going. My name is Mikey Bones. I gone.